Thanks for tuning in to your favorite content creator, UTV. To find out more, follow us on our social media platforms: YouTube UTV124, Facebook UTV124, Instagram UTV124, Twitch UTV124, TikTok UTV_124, and Flow TV channel 124. Remember, UTV, TV for you.
I can't
There are some of you sitting here this morning who know that your friends and your family vex with people. Tell them, I say, go and forgive them. I'm giving you work this morning. Tell them, Father says this morning, it is time to forgive the people that you are vexed with, because you do not know if you are going to drop dead tomorrow morning. You do not know. And I dare say, if somebody is not speaking with you and you're afraid of approaching that person, send them a card asking them for forgiveness. You're obliged to read card là.
Amen.
N'importe monde qui voit card ou can read card là. Ou peut déchirer après. Mais ou can read card là. You want to see what's in it. We cannot call ourselves Christians and our actions, our attitudes, our behaviors are wanting all the time. We can't.
Amen, Father.
We can't.
Amen.
We must be men and women of integrity. We must be men and women who give example to those persons who do not come to church.
True, Father.
You know, I hate all the time, you know. Moi, ma LMS, c'est mon LMS là, yo trop mauvais, yo vieux qualité. So si c'est ça que LMS là qui behave comme Father, qui s'en a vu faire parmi ces moun ça. That's what I hear every day. That's what I hear very often. So we who are coming to church, our attitudes, our behaviors need to be different.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. I hope that you enjoyed a bit of the sermon there this morning. For all what you did yesterday, the 1 o'clock they give you all. I hope that you guys are okay. I hope that you're having a good one. Welcome to the show. It is October the 18th, 2021, Monday. We are beginning the week, and I thought, what better way than to start there? And for a lot of people over the weekend on Sunday, they went out to church. Some people went, they say they went to get baptized in the seawater and all kind of things. So I don't know how that went on, but I'll let you know what I did with my Sunday. And you know, we have a different kind of church and we have a different kind of way of doing things, but I just wanted to let you know what it looked like on my side. Now this thing for yesterday being open for church until 1, I mean, I know some people, even on Friday, somebody called the show, if you remember, to say outwardly, hey, that 1 o'clock they're going to try to see what they can do and go to church and, maybe do something afterwards. But I have found some people that I know taking that opportunity, taking that time, to have a little bit of fun while the time permitted. But it also spoke to us, and when I say I love being St. Lucian, it's for so many different reasons, including how we can poke fun at ourselves and the things that we do. So there has been a lot of material coming from comedians and different people on social media, and I thought it really did speak to the times when people realize that some of the protocols really essentially, some of it doesn't make sense. And with Shaq, happy birthday by the way, Shaq, but he also, I think, took a look at it and what people were doing with the Sunday that they had to be at church. You could be out, but only for church, and the others who didn't and who wouldn't go to church, you had to stay in. There was no beach parties. You couldn't do anything on Sunday except go to church. And I wondered too, whether we really are so much of a Christian society that while we can have no other mass events, church is the only thing that you would give. Well, I shouldn't say just church. Religious activities, you'd have to go to the mosque and whatever else there is, whatever you believe in, but to go out on a Sunday. Once again, people poking fun at that particular bit.
One drop, tick it up, but you're too from December. Be mother, big up to fun.
Heavenly Father, as He bless His boy today, His holy baptism. Lord, what's going on there?
What's going on there? Hello?
Let me get the ticket book.
Get me the ticket book. That's shit. Get me the ticket book. Get me the ticket book.
Yeah, let's go ahead. Please do not come and disturb our religious ceremony. Baptize this boy today. In heavenly name we pray. Amen. Our Father, we pray that this...
Now, you can say for some, I don't know if you find it offensive, but I just find it funny that the guys realizing some of the loopholes that are out there and taking advantage of that. And even in comedy, even in the entertainment, we get to see some of the real issues. And you can have the comedians and the entertainers who make they make light of a lot of the issues. But as we're laughing and as we're looking at some of the problems with these certain protocols, I think there are other issues that we have to look at. There are people, businesses, others who haven't had the same sort of preferential treatment, and I have come under fire for mentioning some of these activities. If I feel like too many people, a country has had to be hunkered down, had to be confined and all of that, and I stand by it. Please do not message me on Facebook. Please do not do that, because if you, maybe it's something that's different, because you haven't had anybody who will say when right is right and wrong is wrong. So right now, when you consider that I am against the administration, and good for you and welcome to that side, sis, no I'm not. No I'm not. I am on the side of truth always. So please, voyez mes pièces by ma saison. Peace, la was not and you saw all what was going on, and I was saying it. That was the worst thing. But they jump, but they took kalte bagay. Kite kosa, please. Now, in all of that, I continue to say, when we had a problem with certain people, not abiding by the protocols, we remember Shasney's father. We remember different businesses. They have the protocols, but it was only for certain people. There was an unfairness about it. It wasn't equitable. It wasn't like that. And I feel, of course, clearly not in the same way, because that last administration, Please let's not make any comparisons. That was disgusting what was going on here. But as we go on, it's a new administration. It is our job to say, yes, I like what you guys are doing there, but maybe you should work on this. And the church being open on Sundays while others are left, well, not to say that the church is a business. I mean, we could have that for debates and there'll be a whole dissertation. But what I think people have a problem with is knowing that so many people have been affected by the protocols, not being able to open and all of that, and knowing that we are in a sort of a good space right now, knock on wood, that, you know, the positivity rate is at 10%, coming from 45 thereabout some weeks ago. So you want to maintain that, you want to keep that, you want to let the people know that they can be vaccinated. And we have seen, for the most part, church leaders, from the letters that I've seen and read, that they understand what is going on. So most times, even the comedians, even the people that we think are just for entertainment, and even in the way they say it, perhaps you might not agree with it, but I think there are pertinent points there that Yadi spoke about on the church being open while others and people are really in a depressed state right now and how they feel about it.
Oui. Top malheureux qu'a parlé avec souffert avec différents monde qui perdent travail. Oui. Et qu'on a dit moi gouvernement et bien m'ave qui laisse gouvernement si un mois yo n'importe. Ça vient dit moi na autant écoutez-moi bien. C'est what l'église là. Pas sauter en l'air moi. What l'église, pas sauter en l'air moi souple. Pas tirer chilote moi. Oui. Même manière yo ni Bayango. Vous avez yo ni l'autre non gagné. Qui m'ont gagné là? Grab and go. Même manière restaurant ni grab and go. Zo ça peut dire home zo. Oui. Moi de ça peut être Madame Sarah vini ka dit comme bail ka fait comme des ordres. Et gouvernement oublié d'être l'année moun ka souffert de là et ka dit moun yo ça est mess. No, across the board. Ici posé ça supposé across the board côté pièce l'amès pas supposé aller. Now moi ça dit no case là c'est Yadi versus Church and State. Ma fili right pour moun ka souffert cette liste. On a dit d'autres bail là moi ça va piler pied chrétien. Moi ga dit tak bail ka piler pied chrétien. Oui. D'autres chrétiens qui sont fâchés. Moi, chay moun boss chimé hier avec Bibio. KSP right. Boss pas courir pour ménager l'église. L'église a dans bon citoyen hier, ça te wed. Oui. Oui. Exorier cette liste, ça pas bon. Nous ka goumen en pandémique, nous ne pouvons goumen ça ensemble. Pas pission de petits politiciens ped, little losers, come and speak nonsense and garbage. Peut-être pasteur tout le monde paye, yo pas vle congregate. Yo ka di moun l'autre pays peuple là tout le monde ka di moun près home yo. Jordi Sarah Flood. No, I will not support that. Oui. Avec M. Pierre, m'a qu'à supporter ça. Pièce la messe, pour atteindre la messe, si vous jouer une priority, over malheureux qui fait. Là, les gens qui passent à ouvert comme un jour. Oui, now, so far, moi, ils ont fait un bon job dans le Covid là, hein. Et ils ne pas autres tout seul, hein. Le nou ka di bay set li si about COVID, nou ni pou involve se docteurs, se professionals la. Oui, c'est pas gouvernement. It's a combination of we, the people, and government. Bon, as of yes set li si, nou teni nou ni 550 active case as of year. Nou teni 22 case nef year. Ek tous les jours nous ka jwen ti numbers bas. So it's a good sign. So kudos pour gouvernement, team li ek se medical practitioners la. Ek CMO ek entire team la. Yeah, the job is looking good. But ma eme bay la mes la. Pis zoka fe moun kwe di la mes pa ka spread. Même si vous venez about gossel la mes, c'est comme moun qui sa vin la mes. No! West home zo man. Fini jou nou zo home zo. Pa vini, ma bay la mes pièce pouvoir pour faire pièce la mes. Ok? Pièce pouvoir pour pièce la mes. And this was a blow to me and the people. The people who have been home cannot sell a shot of rum. Oui, moi savons chay di zokay di se moun le met top home. No. This is the form of employment. That's the term. Yeah, c'est manière. Oui, c'est manière yo ka jeune employé. Oui, yo ni pou vendre. Ou ka di me nou pas à mettre l'MS over moun qui fait. Oui. Pièce l'MS pas si posé over moun qui fait. So zo pe fâché, catholique pe fâché, anglican et n'importe diso. Ça pas à faire moi, m'a mêlé. Oui. C'est zo qui ni number bon Dieu. Oui. Mais ça bon Dieu diso. Oui, moi voulais big up population, oui, c'est important by population commence comprendre by pandémique ça cette ici. Oui, oui. Oui. Ma aimé ça cette ici. Ou pas ça dit moi là où tu es en pouvoir. Ou tu es 24 hours lockdown là pas tenir la messe. Actuellement en opposition. Ou ka try exercise à quoi dit oui, ou c'est gouverneur Vatican et ou ka non. Si la ni yon bail qui en envie moi c'est ça. Puis stop malheureux qui vient élément. Top malheureux qui dit moi yo pas à vendre, yo pas à faire ci, yo pas à faire ça là ça. Hein? So actuellement en la messe yon bon de ka répondre la prière ça. Hein? Zo qui plus vicieuse chay di zo. Un chay di zo qui plus vicieuse. On y a certain bail zo ka point. Certain bail zo ka point bail religion, en bail Christianity. Les pouvoirs les noms moun, même la messe là zo ka fait. Tout dehors zo ka fait tout, ou pas ça va bon. Hein, qui ça fait fornication? Moi même m'a dit moi c'est na fornicate cette ici. Oui. Mon gars fornicate, if you watch my face you'll see na fornicate.
When you go home, yeah, what he's saying, I think there's a lot of truth to it. I mean, if you try to disregard the power, j'étais, je viens for Jean Mongo, you there, you pas bien comme pièce, so quand tu votes, on n'y peut voter. Oh, I mean, take away the power j'étais about VCS and l'église, all these kind of things, and fornicate written on his face. I don't know. I'm not in that, eh? I'm not in that. I'm not in that. Speak for yourself, Yadi. That's all you can speak for. So, I mean, you have to ask yourself the question, does he have a point? Does he have a point where people feel that they're suffering, they don't think that it's fair? And he would also speak about people that he saw on the road, and I saw that too. people waiting for a bus, but everywhere is closed. So, what do you do? What do you do? We're at 10% positivity rate now, and you have to ask whether it is the most responsible thing to do that. And at this time, I just need to put up that letter once again. So we can just put it in perspective, because I think it is important to know where we are and what religious leaders are saying. So let's take a look at this next image, where you could see there that there were different issues that the government were taking into consideration. Like it says here, the St. Lucia Christian Council has been in communication with the Prime Minister, Honorable Philip J. Pierre, who expressed his concern about Sunday sought to have a window of a few hours on Sundays for services, but was informed that this was the same time period which beachgoers, river party goers, house party and villa party organizers used to hold their events. And I wonder now, what has changed? I mean, that is the same thing. Trust and believe. Latte mun kita alebo I say bitchy patwa again. Bolame. Thanks, technician. The council was also informed that the police are stretched thin and so cannot provide oversight for all of the above mentioned activities. The church has been asked under the circumstances to have some forbearance until conditions show some improvement. And I guess we are seeing some improvement, but how far do we go? Because it could be a very cyclical thing if every time it goes up, we shut down and then you close everything and then we're seeing the results. So that's something that we need to look at. If we could go to the next image there, and when that happens, it seems like the government is acquiescing to Sarah's madness on TV all the time and everything. So, and that is what the United Workers' Party will say. The wicked and uncaring government led by Philip J. Pierre has finally allowed Sunday worshippers to be allowed to go to church thanks to Sister Sarah's advocacy. So, now that you've done that, the administration is still wicked. Doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what you do. Say Munsat at your ball. All they care about is creating havoc and just doing these things. So, trying to make certain people, I don't know, like you, maybe change their minds. Some of it will never happen. It will never happen. And to them and to some people, it's when that happens, just the church to be able to do that. Is it a thing where you acquiesce and let people dictate how things go on? And then the next issue is, okay, so if the church isn't open, what next? What next? If it's not that, what is the alternative, Trisha? We're just like pale, what is the alternative? I can tell you in all certainty that I do not know. I think, of course, it's something that the experts will have to speak about and decide. But when I now you have the vaccine, so it really again has to be you placing the importance on people getting the vaccine so people know what to do. But I remember in the early days the church had to do some crazy looking things like this one. Let's put up that image so we can see. It was madness in the beginning. Not even so much. I mean, look at a priest shooting whatever. This is a baptism, this is a child getting baptized, and that's what people had to do. And recently there's talk of grab and go communion. I mean, what does that look like? I don't know. What if I don't know either, but I think we have heard from other religious leaders that they themselves understand it has to do with more than being in a physical building. It really is about, this inner sense of togetherness and community and dealing with grief and all of that. And I do not think, what I'm getting here, it's not my place clearly, but I do not think that there is a real discussion and analyzing of people's emotions and where they are even mentally, for us to dig deeper into these issues. It just seems to be a surface politics. So I was looking at, if not coming to the church right now, because I won't lie, I think a lot of people don't mind the sacrifice if it means that we're going to be okay for Christmas, or we're going to be okay going into the next year. The sacrifices can be made. If you can think like that, I think people already disregard the Je ne sais quoi for this month already, and they are willing to do it. And I'm glad too that people are talking about the compliance when people are now realizing that this is about personal responsibility. You're seeing a great level of compliance as well. So in other parts of the world, people are doing all kinds of things, especially for the Catholics. I understand with communion, that is very important to you, very important to Sarah. And I think, when Yadis even spoke about people, aller les genoux, a caillou, if you can, because that could be the reality for many people if we don't see the uptake of the vaccine. So what does it look like in other parts of the world for Catholics, knowing that they have to stay home, there won't be the actual physical mass, even when we know that here in St. Lucia, every day there is mass. Sarah, I don't know if you don't know that. I don't know if maybe you're not going, maybe you don't talk, maybe I don't know all the pilgrimage you say you're doing and the fasting, that you do not understand that. Also on Saturdays, that they put the Sunday mass to there as well, and on Sundays there's also virtual mass. So is this really something we want to do? Is the risk worth it to do that? Like I said, let's take a look at what the others are doing.
A Fisher's church is bringing the gospel to the community since the congregation can't meet under the same roof. RTV6's Troy Washington explains how the church is using this time to find creative ways to connect.
In times like these, we have a choice. Do we live by fear or do we live by faith? We're choosing to live by faith.
Give us wisdom to know how to bring you thy glory and honor to your name. Lord, we thank you for Jesus.
Letting their will to sow good seeds lead them, volunteers from the East 91st Street Christian Church braved the chilly temperatures, wearing gloves, using sanitizer, and smiling to spread a message of hope on Saturday morning.
Right now, we are being reminded it's not where we worship that matters.
People started pulling up to the church early to get their hands on communion and to have prayers, since the church isn't meeting inside right now.
The very first car were the people who show up first for church early on Sunday morning every week.
Oh, humans, I'm so happy right now.
Once the cars started coming, they just kept on. These two were amongst the first of the nearly 100 cars that showed up during the hour-long event.
When we're apart under circumstances like this, we're as connected as we can be, and this is a way to add a little bit more to it.
They are members of the church who say the coronavirus might be able to keep them out of the sanctuary, but it won't stop their praise.
Thank you for your mercy and this our prayer.
Amen. Take care, stay safe.
The church isn't a building. Church is people.
The virus can close the doors of the church, but it can't stop the people from coming together, even if that means virtually connecting or practicing social distancing during drive-through prayer. Working for you in Fishers, Troy Washington, RTV6.
Troy, thank you. The church will be streaming their services online tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock.
I can't stay.
Protocols for international visitors while in St. Lucia. The following protocols are established to guide the stay of all guests while on island in order to mitigate any possible spread of infection. During the first 14 days, visitors are allowed to patronize approved beaches, restaurant, sea and land excursions, and sites and attractions. All visits are scheduled and pre-arranged by their respective accommodation providers. During this period, all visitors will be transported to and from the certified sites using only COVID-19 certified tourism transportation. After the first 14 days, if any visitor wishes to stay on island beyond the 14-day period, they must apply for and receive a health clearance certificate from the Ministry of Health. Visitors will be allowed to travel, be out in the wider public, and patronize local businesses unsupervised once health clearance certificates have been received. During their entire stay, visitors must wear their mask whenever they are in public places and maintain the mandatory 6 feet distancing from others.
We can win this war. Get vaccinated. Taking our life back. Get vaccinated.
Now that there is a vaccine, I am very optimistic that we can return to a sense of normalcy very soon. And that means having that first fete, that first concert, that first party. Encourage your friends to get vaccinated so that the sooner we get to this herd immunity, the sooner we can be out there again. The chance to see our local and international artists on the stage performing again to a very captive audience. People enjoying themselves, people relaxing, people letting go. This, for me, is what I would really like to see. So, go out, get vaccinated, let's make it a reality.
Get vaccinated.
This message is brought to you by the Bureau of Health Education of the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
You're watching UTV, TV for you.
Fresh Start is supposed to design, to finance, and to build those projects using their money. Okay, they use their own money. The terms are that after the project is finished, I need you all to listen, after the project is finished, certified, every day have spent their money, we now owe them. When that indebtedness is created, and the indebtedness can only be created legally when the project is completed, certified and completed and certified. So after that is done, there is a 12-month moratorium. So during that year, the government of St. Lucia would have already created the indebtedness to Fresh Start. We don't pay them, but we pay them quarterly interest sums on the $50 million, which will only be due upon completion and certification. You're with me? Good. The balance of the monies, well, the interest is paid, and after 1 year, we start paying them in the same 3-month period, quarterly, principal and interest for that quarter. Now, folks, none of those arrangements are calculated on our debt, although it is a burden, a financial burden carried by the state. It is a financial burden carried by the state. But let me just show you an internal memo of the contractual terms of Fresh Start project. Could you put up that first memo for me, please? Good. Department of Finance, from Director to PS. Date 17th June 2020. 4 years after they have been in office. Over 4 years. National Road Rehabilitation Project, Fresh Start. The Department of Finance is pleased to inform you that approval has been granted under the following terms and conditions with respect to the National Roads Rehabilitation Program using a design, build, finance, transfer loan facility. The project, by the way, folks, leave that up. By the way, let me just inform you, information coming to hand.
Julius, Tiger has not paid Julius. Julius is taking Tiger to court for the road that was given to Tiger in Dennery as a result of a direct contract. He could not do it. He contracted Julius. Julius was hooked. He can't get paid. That's under the show. But Julius, if you're listening, I would want you to call the show for me when I open the lines, please. Okay. The project includes the provision for culverts, bridges and road crossings as part of the terms. Terms of facility. Project limit, 50 million. Facility, design, build, finance. Repayment term, 4 years plus 12 months moratorium with an interest rate at 5.25%. Now, moratorium on principle, 12 months from date of commencement of work. Good. So, folks, this is a schedule of payments. Okay, you can take it down. Which shows that we are paying them after completion. There is a 12-month moratorium on principal payment. So for the following year after completion, all we pay them is interest on the money to which they are now entitled. And after that year, we begin paying them interest with principal. Okay? Now there is a schedule of payments, which I will show you. It shows the quarterly payments. So for 4 years, quarterly, there are 4 quarters in a year, so there would be 16 payments for 4 years. But for the first year, there's a total period, you could say, of 5 years of payment. The first year, interest alone. The next 4 years is interest and principal. Could you put up the schedule for me, please? They will. Okay, right. You will notice here the schedule of payments to Fresh Start. Each payment represents a quarterly payment, folks. It represents a 3-month payment, so any 4 payments together would be for 1 year. Beginning by moratorium, the interest, as you can see here, for every 3 months is $656,250. All right? $656,250. And that will kick in after completion of the works are certified and after we in fact owe Fresh Start $50 million. So let us say that is money they have in the bank and they're entitled to interest. They will get interest because we owe them. Now, folks, that amounts to about $218,750 a month in interest. Zot Bietan, $218,750 a month. You can take that down. Folks, that interest payment becomes due only when, 1, the works are completed, 2, the work has been built to specification or to standards, 3, Fresh Start have spent all their money on the projects, so then they are now entitled. And 4thly, our engineers have certified the work. So work is certified, payment is due, interest kicks in. But this is corruption at its highest level. Only 2 quarters have elapsed since they signed the contract. Yo poko même commencé, juge ouais fini. Nous haka paye yo le terrain en lè la ha nou poko dwe yo. You know? When will it stop? When?
And I think that it's a good place to start. When will it stop is It's a good question, and I think we need to start from even with the past and the issues that we have seen, and people coming out with documents, people have the names, we have it there, and I will continue to say that it is not enough. When we are being told that the people who enabled that kind of corruption to go on and allow them to continue, allow them to keep their jobs, allow them to keep their positions, I do not believe it is right. So we continue with this Timothy Mangal being able to get $600,000 every quarter for work that is not even owed yet to him. But they have people in the Ministry of Finance who will allow it to happen when there were small contractors who could not get their money, but Timothy Mangal could have get his. You have the Situez Kite Acid Lacte Afesi by Sale. And I understand, I heard what is being said now by this current administration, but I still do not believe that it is right. And just so that we can be reminded of the atrocities, the corruption, all of what is going on there, and now for everybody to hold hands and sing Kumbaya, Mandai! I don't like it. I'm not in it. I do not believe in people walking over others. And what kind of signal does it give to the other public servants who tried their best, right? Who they too were victimized, who did not get to, go in positions that they earned, that they worked for, that they have the qualifications for. People, Guy Joseph coming in and bringing his cousins, bringing famille, n'importe qui laisse examiner on the position pour faire un bobble, and nothing for that. We need more. We need more than what is going on, and it also perhaps might feel to some, for all of what you did and for for the advocacy that a lot of people did put in, wanting to see justice is also making sure that some of these people do not remain where they are and they have to face us. They are our employees. So just because these things are happening, I really think it is time for us to be reminded, for you to not forget that you are angry, that there are millions of dollars, hundreds of millions that are unaccounted for, things that we were angry about, that it has not been resolved yet. And far from even being resolved, people are even being called up on it yet. None of it, because people think, that they're too good. Malisa, if you have wronged this country, you need to pay. And that's it. And I think even with that, the issue of radical continues.
In the face of adversity, there's opportunity.
When the details of a botched vaccine procurement deal during Chasney's tenure were revealed, his presence was heavily requested.
Via direct purchase to Radical Investments, how much? $7,355,630.
Chasney sought to explain why the finance ministry entered a procurement deal with Radical Investments in the first place.
And I did everything I could possibly do to get vaccines.
So Radical Investments, represented by Mac Maloney, was given our taxpayers' money for vaccines, despite us in St. Lucia being able to get our vaccines dirt cheap from COVAX.
COVAX, the international scheme to ensure equal access to coronavirus vaccines.
I came out in several statements publicly to pronounce that we were working on getting the vaccine.
In terms of the vaccine, I have some good news to report. The government was proactive in seeking vaccine options and became a member of COVAX. We've received official confirmation from the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, of the allocation of 74,000 doses of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine ahead of schedule.
There's a lot of opportunities coming out of the pandemic.
The Radical Investments, they had never, ever before sought, procured, supplied, or had anything to do with supplying drugs, far less. That kind of drug that needed a special kind of preservation.
According to Shasney, Mac Maloney, the owner of Radical Investments, Inc., was no stranger to St. Lucia.
I was further satisfied that Mr. Maloney, who headed up Radical, was not an unknown entity.
Barbados Today specifically asked Mr. Shasney if Radical Investments was in fact a St. Lucian company. He replied, quote, "I'm not sure, I just know Mr. Maloney," end quote. Mr. Shasney also told Barbados Today Radical Investments was reputable, which was a key factor in his decision to proceed with that arrangement.
And also knowing that colleague countries were participating in this.
The government of Barbados said they would have committed $10 million, but bring the vaccines there first. Barbados has lost nothing.
Bajan authorities have since downplayed their involvement with Maloney's company, claiming none of their tax dollars was ever allocated to Radical Investments.
Radical Investments did not receive a single cent from us.
Talking about vaccines, do you know that the last government paid by handwritten check $7 million for the importation of vaccines into St. Lucia?
If at any point things went wrong, I knew that the government would have had a recourse. And I want to applaud Mr. Maloney, who did not have to do this, from what I understood.
But as the botched deal between Radical Investments, Good Vibrations, and several other contractors picked up regional coverage, it has been revealed that AstraZeneca, the manufacturer of the vaccine, was never in contact with Radical Investments or its suppliers. So how sound was our due diligence?
The due diligence that we did worked. The fact that we had a contract in place was a testament to the fact that this was not being done secretly.
Why would a minister of finance take $7.3 million of taxpayers' money by the stroke of a pen, give it to a first company which never dealt in that at all, to take it to bring to another company, and that other company will source it from another company?
The former finance minister added that there was the utmost confidence in this deal working out.
Our due diligence was that they were in touch with AstraZeneca, and we knew that this was a legitimate possibility of getting the vaccines.
Maloney authorized a U.S. $10.2 million payment to U.S. company Good Vibrations for vaccines. But according to court documents, Good Vibrations supposedly came into legal existence 5 weeks after receiving partial payment from Mark Maloney. Good Vibrations supposedly came into legal existence 5 weeks after receiving partial payment from Mark Maloney.
I find there was something that the former administration used to do, like, just shut up and hope nothing comes out of it, and maybe we'll just get another issue and just move on. Is that what they are expecting, that St. Lucians will, you'll get angry, maybe Shasney probably figure, oh, they'll do what they always do, just talk and talk and talk, and they'll forget about it. Is this what we're going to do with Radical Investments and all the other things that we have seen? Are we going to let Esther Rigobert, Director of Finance, just sign off and pay something without any due diligence and give us $7 million while Shasney will tell St. Lucians, Kupela, shut up, take the money, and be thankful that he actually gave you your money back. Just relax yourself. Ukapale top. Just pale, just pay la. Huh? You're like that. You're like that. And in the meantime, all of that, Manyayo Edi Square, to tell people these things, to continue to oppress people, to continue to insult and disrespect. Should I forget that? Should we forget that and say, but y'all win already, what y'all worried about? Oh, a life is worth more than $7 million. I'm not on that. And neither should you. Your people in Barbados, their money even in it, they still vex. And we pretending that, you know, don't put it out there, let's forget about that, let's move on, you'll get the money already and finish with that. No, when the person that even has to answer hasn't stepped foot yet, hasn't come and answered the questions yet of the people, but he out there taking, I don't know if he's taking mental time or vacation or whatever he wants to call it. There were no issues that you had to go and do when you had to win an election. You did not care. Super Sunday, every day was a day for you to win election. Eating wings and doing all of that. I am not going to forget it, and I'm urging you not to as well. And I'm speaking to this administration. I need justice. We said it a year ago, 2 years ago. When I believe people do want to see that it's not going to happen, and that is why this is not enough for me. The current Prime Minister's words, in some ways, I can tell you, with the calls that I'm getting, it just had so many people dejected within the public service, thinking that they would finally be able to see some kind of justice. Hearing that from a Prime Minister where you are anticipating some strong action, it is disappointing.
To tell the officials that we demand transparency and accountability in the execution of that project. We need full accountancy and transparency. And this government is going to ensure that there is transparency and accountability in everything that we do and everything that was done. We are not involved, and we will not be involved in any witch hunt. We're not going after anybody we don't intend to make anybody cry. What we want is an account of what transpired before to ensure that it doesn't happen again. And we are going to leave no stone unturned within the resources that are available to us to ensure that there's transparency now.
I'm very, very pleased that you made it abundantly clear that in a democracy following an election, you cannot win them all, but you must be willing to work with them all, as you are so demonstrating. I think that deserves a round of applause, because he certainly did echo that.
Some people will take it how they want it, but I believe that it wasn't a good statement that somehow alleviated some of the fears, some of the concerns that many people within the public service, especially those in the Treasury. You think it was easy? You think it was easy, though, those that were there afraid of being victimized by a petty Prime Minister in Chastney to leak documents, hoping and praying that, you know, some people will see that, those in power will see it, and when they do come, they'll right wrongs. It's not a strong enough statement to make. It is not enough for the people who have, you know, put themselves on the line, their careers on the line, those that even were silent about it and they're giving you a little sips, people that living in fear of Shastney. When you look at the National Trust, when you look at the chairman then, when you look at what he's done with Janine, when you've looked at Media Association, it was not easy to do these things and give documents to people that you thought could have helped. And now, when people are expecting something, there's nothing. I don't think it's enough, and I think Isaiah spoke about right after elections, but right before too, you saw so much of the corruption. Some names, you know, so much is happening that you almost forget what is going on. And with the Bertrand Johannes, I think that too, we need to remember that. So let's take a look at one of the awards again being given from the Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, Economic Development, to the Director of Finance. It goes on the basis of recommendation from the Permanent Secretary, Department of Economic Development, Transportation, Civil Aviation, blah, 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 blah. West Hill Trust Limited, granting approval for a contract by Director Award to West Hill Trust Limited in the amount of $648,500, VAT exclusive, for professional fees for the delivery of detailed designs for construction of the PI and Roblo community centers, as well as the Marcus Garvey Hall. That was sometime last year. And then when you realize it is owned by Bertrand Johannes, I will not say it out loud. Don't ask me to say it. I will not call anybody. I guess I have to do it because that's what you'll know him by. But Big Daddy, my God, Big Daddy being given that kind of director award, $600,000, when he already got millions in consultancy fees, and he's running against Ernest Hilaire in Castries South. And people were wondering, why is that man there? Because he is one of the minions of Guy Joseph. So, is that right? Is that supposed to happen? Let's take a look at the other image there, because it's not even enough to say that you're giving people who do not deserve these things. Candida Johannes, chief accountant in the Economic Development Ministry, is the wife of Bertrand Johannes, right? Look at what she's getting paid. Look at her salary. Look at what's happening. So your wife has under Guy Joseph, Kise Makokotua. Your wife is able to control when you get your money. So of course you take priority. Nobody's seeing nothing wrong with that. That Candida Johannes there, still in Economic Development Ministry, the guy taking from, his cousins and the people there to put in his ministries, changing the grades from 9 to 12 so you can get more money. And we're saying that we're not going to do anything about that. We're saying that we don't want people to cry. And I do not care. They have to, for what I consider treason. But then that again comes with the investigations, coming with all of that. And I've spoken about it before, but I do not want us to forget. I do not want us to look at, some of the other issues. Of course, there are others. But it must be very difficult for a country to heal properly, to feel and to change a culture. If you're going to change a culture of corruption, we must show that corruption what should be the case is that it doesn't pay. When people are allowed to do what they want for their own personal gain, and they are being told, hey digger, we're not going to do nothing, you're okay man, just give us some information. It's not enough. It demoralizes the people who were working, who were honest. It's not enough. For yes, even your supporters who want to see the rights being made, it's not enough. We continue with the different, let's look at the next image there. So once again, you see, because again, they are public servants, Ministry of Economic Development, Housing, already, Guy Joseph, Ms. Samantha Mangal, being put in these positions, again, more so that they are able to do the bidding of these ministers. We've spoken about it before. I'm going to talk about it again. I do not want you to forget. I expect the messages, as I have been getting for some time now, but I believe that it is right. I believe that something has to be done. So let's go ahead and look at the next image there with the PS of Health. Benson Emile served as chairman of Dennery South Constituency Council between 2006 and 2011. He also held a privileged position of Assistant Accountant General at the Treasury. Benson has been very fortunate in the public service because he has made his way to the top without any professional qualifications or degrees. Some say that having served Edmund Estefan twice as campaign manager and an avid UWP supporter gave him the push to top flight public service positions. The Towns and Village Council's audit revealed that Benson, as chairman of Dennery South Council, received a contribution of $149,350 on behalf of the Dennery North Council. Strange as it may be, it was suspected that this outrageous route was to elude the sitting Dennery North MP, Marcus Nicholas, who at the time had fallen out of favor with the UWP government. The $149,350 was later paid by check to one Andrea Ogie, sister to Andy Daniel, the current House Speaker, well, that was before, who endorsed to run instead of Marcus Nicholas. The check was written and signed by Mr. Emile as Assistant Accountant General and Dennery South Chairman. Emile was called to account but never cooperated. The Dennery North Council was unable to account. It was also revealed that $67,000 was paid to the owner and operator of a small groceries shop. It was revealed that this person is Benson's mother and that the funds originated from the Taiwanese funds. He is now set to be transferred to the head of Treasury Department, while Mrs. Sonson may be sent to another department, either sports or perhaps finance, as Gail's relative, Ms. Rigobert, has proven to be totally behind her depth. I've never worked as, within government in that way. I remember doing summer at the Attorney General's chambers while I was studying law, and that was the extent of it. But the one thing I do know, I do know that many people like it because you have the ability, you have the stability, you can get the loans easier. Trust and believe, a lot of people, especially those in certain impoverished areas, they look at government worker as something to admire, something to aspire to, because there's a stability that a lot of vulnerable people and people who are suffering don't know. What I also know about people within the public service is they understand that the politicians come and go, but they are here. They are the government, they are the administrators, they are the ones really manning the station. So the people who are involved in the politics and the politicians, they fall to the whims and fancies of their electorate. But the people who are working within the public service, they stay, they are there for the most part. And they also have the institutional knowledge. So I imagine, when you come in, you want to keep some people because they're there, they understand what's going on, they have the history right there. And you need that kind of institutional knowledge. But when you have the documents of the people who allowed certain things to happen, people who are in the same churches with some of the ministers and they are being put in positions, I cannot sit here every day, and say that I'm speaking my truth if I continue to know, if people continue to call me and say that it is not working and it is not right. The people need to see the repercussions of what's going on. When you look at all of what's happening and you're seeing Guy Joseph riding a bike wherever he is, learning now only to ride a bike because he has the free time and whatever how much money he has, being able to almost escape. You have a man, Chasney, on a United Workers Party press conference while he's driving, literally looking like he's on the run, right? Again, looking like they're okay. For all of what Spider's done, they're okay. For all of what that is supposed to be okay. And we're supposed to sit back and say, this is good governance, because I could say, nuki bo, de nuki plibo. And what you are getting, and I'm telling you, these United Workers Party supporters there, you can be a supporter, but the dishonest ones who allow these things, they are having a good laugh. They are having a good laugh on the head of this current administration in private. And they know, because they've had enough practice over the 5 years to kiss ass and say what needs to be done. And they bring in that coffee for you. Hey, take that, Mr. Minister. And no. I need the momentum to be there. I feel like it's waning. I feel like people are already starting to feel like, okay, finish something and let's move on. Pamwe. I don't want to move on. I want justice. We continue. Let's take a look at what the next image is there with Son Son. So when they wanted to remove Son Son of the National Treasury, they called her a thorn in the flesh of certain people in high places. That woman, too freaking honest. She's too concerned about protecting her good name. The band of robbers despise her with a passion. That's why they want to replace her with Benson Emile. Benson is a party loyalist who has the perfect track record. So now he couldn't go in there because of the questions that still reigning with the Constituencies Council in Dennery. So they put him as PS of Health just last year. That's during COVID. So somebody without that kind of knowledge was given the PS in the Ministry of Health during a pandemic. We cannot forget to Brantford. Who can forget Brantford? Let's take a look at the next image there. So just so people can remember. So this guy next to Esther Rigo, but no, we come into Esther Tale just now. But Brantford, let's take a look at the next image there, just so people can really get a look at him. So this person again in Treasury being allowed to, you know, make the calls on who gets paid. St. Lucia, if we do not look at what we're doing, if we continue to be so political that we cannot agitate for, you know, righting wrongs that have been done in this country, then I don't know what else. And if this does not continue to somehow anger you, frustrate you, for you to feel like you want to change the culture of St. Lucia and in this corruption, then, you know, and then we give up. People give up because they consider they win already, and everything that, you know, this administration does, they're completely right, Trisha. When we top row, I want nothing except to know that I am in a space of honesty, knowing that I want to see what is right, that meritocracy must matter, that people don't look at others who are doing the right thing as stupid. Like, that's not how things are supposed to be working in a country. And by doing nothing, it's only perpetuating it. Branford, his wife, his business, and the continued conflict of interest.
The company, D4 Services and Supplies, the invoice number 02DS/2021. The service provided, quote, transportation of ballot boxes from various polling stations to returning officers' location and to the secure location on election night, July 26, 2021. The itemization shows costs ranging from $3,800 to $7,600 for all 17 constituencies. But before we get to who D4 Services and Supplies is, I will attempt to answer the first burning public question. Why was the company contracted for a service which the police has historically provided for free? Well, I placed a phone call to a senior member of the Electoral Department who explained the following. For the June 2016 general election, the Electoral Department made some changes to the ballot transportation process. Returning officers hired transportation within their respective constituencies, a cost borne by the department. Why the decision to change in 2016 was not explained to me. However, the Electoral Department official explained that in 2021, the COVID-19 virus and the associated protocols posed some challenges, resulting in the decision to contract one company to provide the ballot transportation services. And although the supporting documents were not available at the time, the official disclosed that the $86,500 billed by the D4 Services and Supplies is significantly less than what it cost the Electoral Department in 2016 when the returning officers were tasked with that duty. Now to the ownership of the business, D4 Services. It is owned by the wife of St. Lucia's Accountant General, Matthew Branford. In his role, Branford has direct oversight of the Department of Treasury. As you can see, the invoice was entered on SmartStream, government's integrated financial accounting system, on August 5th, 2021. Now, I dug a little deeper and learned that this is not the first service provided to government by D4 Services. The business was awarded a CDP contract for the construction of a retaining wall. However, that retaining wall was in the vicinity of the Accountant General's home, a clear conflict of interest, according to one well-placed source. But here is where it gets interesting. NBC Prime has learned that it was discovered that there were attempts at deleting on the SmartStream system attachments related to D4 Services invoices. These attachments, we understand, would show the justification for the payments. NBC Prime also understands that the Department of Audit has been investigating the matter. And that's it for this report. I am Miguel Favre.
Trisha, you don't have the patience. It's coming. Relax yourself. And I took particular issue with PM Pierre's statement on, you know, this is not a witch hunt. When people have given the document, the documents are there, when people have known, when it's clearly there, it's not a witch hunt. The witch hunt is something else. It's when you're just looking for anything you can get against somebody for political reasons and just trying to victimize. This is not what I'm calling for. All I am calling in this in a well-timed way is for justice. And when I'm hearing, let's put up the next image there of Esther Rigobert. Again, Director of Finance, being put in a position to deal with radical and to sign off on so many of the things, to even, thinly veiled threats to people to let them be paid, and she's right there with it. It astounds me that some of these people who were in acting positions under Shasny administration were made permanent under this administration. And you'll wonder, how can that happen? It happens because the Cabinet Secretary, Ben Emmanuel, who was taken by Shasny, he was in retirement, they put him on contract to bring him in under Shasny, is retained by this administration. So what does he do? He makes sure that some of his friends in the United Workers' Party supporters, the people that were there, the Situes, Simona Kitea, like the Otega acting, they're not there yet. They're made permanent. That is their job. That is being given to the Public Service Commission to make them permanent in that position under this administration. I'm too impatient. When you allow certain people to hold these positions and to do with it what they want, they will still be who they are. There's no coming back. I don't think there's any coming back by you trying to be good. They do not respect good. They only respect power and their own personal gain. And while I'm seeing, the different press conferences and people sitting there, like that's the biggest supporter of the St. Lucia Labour Party. That's the biggest supporter, clapping you like a guyen. They're not for you. They will never be for you. People are being made permanent under this administration. And you're going to come and tell me, oh, you're not taking your time? I have no time to take this. You're taking time. Time. We'll take your calls now. That's 572-7588 and also at 484-7588. Good governance is needed. It is important. I want to see it. I want to know what it's like again, for hope to reign. For somebody at their home to feel like, you poor, you don't have, but if you work hard, you can get there. It doesn't matter about what you have. It doesn't mean that you have to have sex with Fede or that feel they can give you some kakada. You're not on that. That honesty can reign, and it's very difficult. It'll be painstaking. It'll take time to change a culture by which people were, they benefited under it. And it also takes really strong leadership to do the same thing, to change that, and to let people know that their efforts were not in vain. For those that, they sacrificed, they were scared to do it, but they called the shows. They were scared to do it, but they came out. They were scared to do it, but they spoke out. They were scared to do it, but they voted them out. They were scared to do it, but they did it. Cannot now look at the same people that are looking like they are being rewarded. Puvole. Let's take the call. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Tresha.
Hi.
I share your sentiments. I've been watching the clips you put, and I will be very disappointed in my government if they do not take action against whether it's civil servants, whomever, ministers in government who played in our monies and have to give an account. I'll be very disappointed, and I might not even vote for them again. I'm very serious about it. I want action taken. Enough is enough. So I share your sentiment. Okay.
But caller, I mean, when I guess you wanted a change, what did you want to see specifically? Maybe first off,
the prosecutor that they made mention of, that he be brought in as possible. And I don't believe in keeping persons who did any illegalities. I don't agree with that. I don't know what they're going to do, amend the law, get rid of them, persons who really got involved in such. bad behavior. I don't share that they should remain. I know this administration wants to embrace everybody, the people, which I agree with, but persons who blatantly disregarded our laws and did things contrary to what the law should not be kept. I don't agree with it. It has to be removed. And that's my position. Now I'll be very disappointed in my government if they do not do it. Very disappointed.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have another call. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, caller. Caller. Hey, somebody say I don't know why I think it's a man, but good afternoon, caller. Can you hear me? Okay, let's take another call. Call, I don't know what you are doing. I don't know what you are busy doing. But maybe you can try to call again. The lines are still open at 572-7588. You can also call us via WhatsApp at 484-7588. We could talk about anything you want. It doesn't have to be anything that I'm discussing now. Anything that you want highlighted. So let's talk about it. Good afternoon.
Hey, Tresha.
Hi.
That's Frank here.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. You know, I like to identify myself.
Yes, I know.
Yes, because when I give in licks, I was giving licks on Chasney. When I give in licks on Labour, I like to identify myself. C'est pas un mafle. Abaka mo nataray.
Eka shaidi yo pako pon sasa here.
They don't understand that.
They don't.
And then if my house I am. Tresha, while I want to see blood, the stalwarts, the foot soldiers want red meat. We all want red meat. The Labour Party itself knows that out of the foot soldiers, a section of society voted for them against corruption, so that somebody could be held accountable. When I called the show the last time when we were talking about that same Rigobot, I got a few calls from people in the know how the service operates. So my disappointment, so I temper down. My disappointment is, yes, now we have 13 and 2 independents which are in cabinet. Go to parliament and change the laws so that the public service will not have the kind of authority that they have now. You see, because what happened, the public service commission, they are appointed, and they are the ones that are in control, and probably they might have even 2 years more. So here you goes. I am calling that the government of the day with 13 and let's say 15 could go and amend laws that the tenure of the, because we all know that the public service is appointed by the political party and favorable, and mostly people that are favorable to the party. So you amend the constitution and to make the law that the tenure of the public service is ended when the announcement of the election when the government announces an election. So they will not have no teeth to delay and to work out and to keep you and not to do what you want to do.
Caller, I do have to say though, the Public Service Commission, its very existence is to make sure that there is no sort of partisan politics being played with, government processes.
Like for a while, Tresha, we cannot run away from it. It has been tainted.
So if you take it out, what's the alternative? What do you put then? What
That is why I'm saying. That is why I'm
stops
saying.
somebody, a minister, from just picking anybody else and putting them in certain positions?
Government is either you have it as a position that is electable, change our constitution, or if we need, I don't know if we need a referendum. so these people could be elected by the people on election day as well. So there's a lot of reform, and that is why I believe in reform. Now, I want to deal with the appointments. From my information, these appointments were already there on stream. And I could say, straight out of the blue, that there are a lot of people in that stream of appointments, in the stream of appointments that the Labour Party did there. There are a lot of Labour Party people that work in the public sector that were on that stream as well. That were on that stream as well. So it would really look that if you are appointing people and don't appoint this person and you appoint that person, it would look it would look very partisan in my view. Although I believe the right thing to do is to send the lady on vacation. How can we send her on vacation? Well, people in the know will have to tell me how it could be done. But again, we have a PS in the public service that is favorable to the United Workers' Party. How you deal with these things? It is very complicated. While I understand that we are calling for blood, we calling for red meat, the government has have to handle this very tactically, or else it will land us the same way like Shasney, paying millions of dollars. And by the way, as I'm talking about dollars, Tresha,
yes,
on the 26th of October 2016, the Taiwanese gave monies to Alan Shasney, which he picked up a check. Picking up that check for the CDP, Guy Joseph ended up on a talk show saying that he had to manipulate the system for him to get the money. Now, you see me, I'm human. I know there are a lot of people that have not gotten paid since 5 years ago. I know there are still people under the last flabo there that gave work in front of the elections that have not gotten paid. I don't want what happened to me happen to them. And I want to see everybody get paid. While I understand that our present Prime Minister, which is on the economic, this ministry, where that money comes in, though, we will not go and say he had to pretend. But Mr. Prime Minister, I want to see everybody get paid, even though some projects have to hold back. Everybody have to get paid, including moi, so I could buy a drink for Trisha later.
Thank you. Have a good one. Thank you. We've had a call on hold for a while now. Thank you for your patience. Caller, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Tresha.
Hi.
You look like you got a lot of that overbreeze on the weekend.
What I got a lot of?
Ou jwen a chayvan from Ovan.
Oui.
Quand même.
Oui.
Tresha, te mwen dou sa.
Dis-moi.
Ma campagne pour 5 l'année. Pour moi vini changer un gouvernement qui te ka volé. Coin boui. Pour moi tan Mr. Pierre dit, yo pa ka last witch hunt. I would like to believe that I misunderstood what he said, and at some point Mr. Pierre would further explain to us what exactly he meant, whether he was speaking about this tenure or the past administration. Because let me tell you, I personally believe that the state should have already seized the assets of all the thieves who were in government in the last administration. You're not going to mortgage my children's lives, my great-grandchildren's lives, and get away with it. You should not be able to get away with it. The current crop of parliamentarians should have an example to look back on so they don't make the same mistakes. Alan Shasney is now selling property, whether he owned it before or not. Openly selling property. And you telling me you're not going on witch hunt? Witch hunt. Hello, Tresha. We need our money. We need everything. As a matter of fact, I want Theo Aking arrested anytime he land in St. Lucia for 1,000 acres of land. The man can pay $1 per acre. Okay? $1,000 every year for the next 99 years. And I don't have that opportunity. I don't have that option as a Viewfortian. And you're telling me that's okay? That cannot be okay, Tresha. We need to ensure. Mr. Pierre, do me a favor. You see that special prosecutor post? Work on it with alacrity and lightning rapidity so that we, the people of this country, can get accountability for our money. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Kola. There will be people who think, you know, certain things, and I guess it's where your values are, what you place more importance on. Some people will place it on their own personal gain, some people on country, and some people on party. I have never much cared to be completely loyal, so to the point of to any one party that I cannot say when something is wrong and when I believe it is right. Now, say somewhat say flaboa, kika vini Facebook, kika vini dime bagay about great job, Hodiana I feel great job. Shasney is the worst prime minister that we have ever seen in this country, and that has not changed. My opinion on that has not changed. Say volea exesitu wesla exevis lesla tika bali kuwai pufese baila, they're also a part of it. We suffered for 5 years under the Shasti administration, and the people were right, I believe, in looking, in seeking, in making sure that there was a change. In this change though, even as we are seeing some improvements, we must say, you know, this can be done better. And for me, this particular situation can be made better. There should not be any shame to do that. There should not be any muzzle on anyone to say that. And if you're thinking that, you know, Tresha, all the time, the show was great, a great show. Years, months ago, ODI Pabo, ODI Tresha just awajively position. And that is not the case. I believe that something has to be done, and we just have to be honest. If we want to see the country move forward, let's just help in whatever way we can to help the people who do shape that policy, help make it happen. Let's take the other call. Good afternoon.
Bon après-midi, Madame Tresha.
How are you, sir?
Well, j'étais bien, but participement ça pièce là, nous en offre là. Toi, côté qui veulent, monsieur Pierre, si pas ça fait là, c'est bien l'autre monde fait, parce que c'est pour ça nous vote. So, qui manière il a fait un statement comme ça, pour lui même comme si il pas intéressé pour prosécuter ces gens ces voleurs?
Non, il pas dit ça seulement. Il a dit pour ces gens qui en position, à cause pas ni pièce preuves, personne pas sorti là. Mais moi je dis, je suis dit pas ni pour tant c'est pas ça, il fait au pli, kouai.
Mais il même quand même dit ils sont sans voler tout et m'a mettre un test sur contract comme si voilà même sans voler. So qui m'a ça fait cadre en bas quoi quasi pour ces gens.
Non mais quand ou ça dit chai bay, yo bay ou pas ça dit le pied ça dit il a menti il voler. Ça Monday et que chai monte well differ was early chasne c'est mate. Papa mate. Laisse ça ou pas ça dit pièce ça. Pièce.
Non, ma dit pièce de ça, mais comment non, il supposé que ça c'était plan de la campagne, comment non? So,
oui.
Il va changer right now.
Oui.
So, nous en offre là, nous allons mettre ça et nous allons clarifier ça as soon as possible.
Okay, merci appeal.
Okay, right.
Merci appeal. We have another call? Yeah? Okay. Well, the lines are still open. We can still squeeze in a few more. But That's where I am. And for those worried more about Tresha, you know, look at what you might be destroying the party. I don't think I am at all. If anything, I hope that some people will gain some kind of perspective and have the wherewithal. It's not going to be easy, but even when, you know, you have second thoughts, if you do decide really to say it, to say how you feel, to say what you see, to say what you've heard, the people that are trusting me enough to message me and let me know what's going on, those that are completely dejected with what they are seeing, some who even hear people laughing at them in the government offices, they need to be represented. They need to feel like they're being lifted up, instead of looking at the people who have done wrong these past years, laughing at them, laughing around them, and being, you know, being kept in these same spaces. I understand. In fact, no, perhaps I don't understand. I cannot understand what it is to be Prime Minister. It is a heavy job, even though Shasney brought it down, the stature of it down to the gutter, like I go to the Prime Minister, but it is a difficult job if you are to do it correctly. You need, you know, you need the strength to make these tough decisions. And I don't know, perhaps, all of what has to be thought of before. All I know is from where we stand, many people stand, there needs to be more. It has to be done. Let's take another call. Sorry, I think we have 2 calls, you said? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Trisha.
Hi.
That's the first time I call in your show. Okay. I always listen to you when I hope. Okay. But I'm very disappointed in our Prime Minister Philip J.P. Okay.
Sorry, caller, can you say that a bit louder? Disappointed in what?
In our Prime Minister Philip J.P. Okay. Especially with Accountant General Guy and Shasney take out Miss Sonson, okay, and put their own people to do all the corruption, and this Prime Minister is in and not doing nothing about that yet. I'm very disappointed with him. Okay, that's all I have to say. I have more to say about him, but some other time.
Thank you very much, caller. Right. Thank you. Let's take the other call. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, caller.
Yeah, hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Yes, I happen to be here watching your program. Thanks very much for, you know, looking for transparency and truth, and for us to get down to what is best for us.
Yes, thank you.
I want to speak about the COVID-19 situation, and I was really looking forward to our Prime Minister and Minister of Health seeking to embrace the science, you know, the science, the holistic science that I hope he would utilize to bear in, you know, moving forward with protocols and other things for, you know, the best for our people with COVID-19 infection. And, you know, I've waited, you know, how many months is it now? Well, it's just going on about 2. The last government, I waited a year plus, and that was too much time. So this time, I think, you know, like other callers are saying, we have to nip it in the bud. But for me here, waiting for our Minister of Health and the Prime Minister to embrace holistic science, you know, it's not happening. It's not happening, and we just see, you know, the one-sided, you know, manifestation of what is happening in terms of getting one-sided science. And I want to speak here of, you know, my plight with trying to get ivermectin available as part of the free choice for my people in terms of the various tools that we can utilize in fighting this COVID-19 infection. And I recently got a letter from the Permanent Secretary stating that the importation of ivermectin will not be permitted. And, you know, I went through this scenario in May and patiently prayed and was tolerant to take what, amounted to not what it should be. And eventually, the ivermectin was released 4 months later. The reason for keeping it back was that it should not be sold from my office and it should be dispensed by a pharmacist. Okay, I don't know why it took 4 months for that to be said. So now I'm trying to get another shipment for, the long waiting list of people that we have, battling and fearful of getting COVID. And I'm getting this letter from the permanent secretary saying that it won't be permitted to be, imported. So now I have to go through the letter writing and try and get some sense out of why this conclusion has been come to.
So there was supposed to be a hearing on the 13th. What was the reason why that didn't happen anymore? By the way, we are speaking with Dr. Gilberta St. Rose, everyone, just so we could have that out there.
Yeah, so this is me, Dr. Mary Gilberta St. Rose. I've been summoned to, speak on a complaint. The reason, Trisha, why it didn't take place on the 13th is because the complaint didn't say what the misconduct or what the negligence was about. So to respond to a complaint, one needs to know what it is. So we told them that, and eventually they came back with a letter that was written since the 25th of August, in which the CMO did send a complaint to the Medical and Dental Council. And within the complaint, I'm still looking for what's the negligence and what's the misconduct. I can't quite decipher what it is, but the hearing is now scheduled for the 27th of October 2021.
Do you have any regrets in the unauthorized sort of testing that you were doing with ivermectin on some of your patients?
Regrets? Oh no, I'm so happy that I cannot be labeled as some persons that could have been negligent in not making ivermectin available to the patients. Absolutely no regrets. I'm happy that, the Lord gave me the strength to stand my ground in terms of having got the information from international sources, looking at clinical studies, looking at what's happening positively. And in spite of, the Ministry of Health not wanting to embrace it, and they said not for the public sector, I say it's very unfortunate that you all are not utilizing it for the public sector. But happily, I am an independent private medical practitioner, licensed to practice. And based on my knowledge and based on, my conscience, I decided to go ahead with treating my patients with ivermectin.
Do you take any sort of responsibility with, what we've seen? There's been the vaccine hesitancy. We've seen some uptake of it. I don't know whether you're against the vaccine, because we're looking at the statistics there when people are saying 96% of those people who are being hospitalized are those that have not been vaccinated. If people don't agree with the ivermectin, would you tell them to go ahead and take the vaccine? And do you also take some responsibility in part when you have health professionals, publicly, I can't put it any other way, quarreling with each other on what to do, which again will make people who have the hesitancy, who do not know, even more uncertain. Watching people that should know, that went to school for the 10 years, argue with each other, in this public space.
Well, you have two things there, Trisha. Mm-hmm. Two things. First of all, you mentioned the fact that, I wasn't hearing you there. Anyway, there are two things. The first one is that you mentioned that the statistics are showing that it's mostly unvaccinated persons are being hospitalized. Mm-hmm. And though that may be true now, I think we need to see what's happening down the road in the future. And Israel is a very good example for us now, where there's been more than 80% vaccinations, but you're seeing more vaccinated persons getting into the hospital. So although it may be true now, what we know about the vaccine and with the new mutants and strains coming on, we know that in time, unless they get accurate boosters, which we cannot be very confident of, that we will be in the same situation. that vaccinated persons will be the ones getting into hospital. But what I'm talking of is free choice. Trisha, I don't want to go into the vaccinated and don't vaccinate, but I'm saying persons need to have the free choice of what they want to use to protect themselves.
October 27th is your hearing. Are you afraid that you might be...
Afraid?
Yeah. Is there any fear? Do you have any of that?
Did you use the word afraid?
Yeah. Fearful? Do you have any concerns? I don't know any other euphemism, any other word to put it in, any other synonym.
No, I'm not afraid at all. I have God with me, and I'm trying to keep it at 100%. And I have some supporters. I don't know how much the support will continue. But, I'm sticking with God, sticking to my truth. And I don't want to be in conflict with myself. So I'm fully confident in what I have done and what I want to continue to do. And as I cling to the Lord, in spite of, the obstacles and challenges, I am not afraid.
Thank you very much, Dr. Gilbertha, for calling the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Have a good one. Now, we've had a lot of discussion on the COVID. Maybe I should have asked that, but we were a bit over time anyway. With the COVID management and the people, I personally look at that and I feel like it's doing such, I think it's a big problem for even people to get vaccinated when you have those, you put your life, you put your health in the hands of doctors that are supposed to know better than you do. And now when they are having this thing out there in the public on television, it must be very disconcerting to some, very confusing to some on what to do, ivermectin and vaccines. And that is why I will urge the doctors and the CMO to come on the shows. If you come on, what's the name of the show again on Wednesdays that we have here? Talk Truth to Power. Then these guys have their way of looking at things. I know the Dr. Stephen King did speak with them, or maybe you should too. Need to come out there and speak. But for a lot, like I said, it is so confusing. But she believes in what she believes, and again, I thank her for calling the show. But I think this is where we end, and the larger part of it, I think the entire show was really in keeping people accountable, and those that have, benefiting from certain protocols, as we saw with the churches and everything else, and with the public service. I must add that it is the Public Service Commission, like Frank said, and not solely the Prime Minister, but there are ways, I hope, in looking at these things, because the Public Service Commission, in all of what we're seeing with the appointments, because there were ministers that could have put their appointments, put their people, put their cousins, put their wife, put whoever they want, and it was being done through that basis, then we need to look at that as well. All I am asking is that those with the power to do it, they look at how it can best be done. That clearly is above me. All I can do and all I am doing is speaking my truth. And those that are afraid to speak, I know you at the Treasury, Zope, you're afraid. You'll tell me, I have it there. I will never, ever declare sources or do any of that. But if it takes this to let those in the offices know, those who have the power, those are being, being sort of charmed by the people who are very good at kissing ass, and they're not used to it yet, and they probably fallen for it. What's that girl in tourism, boy, that Pierce in tourism? I hear she's good at that too. So we need to be careful, and we need to be on guard, and we need to be honest. And as we end though, for those that stealing from the state, I remember when my house was broken into and things were stolen, you have to think of what is your response to it. And for a while I was in shock. And for the country, I think they passed shock already, or maybe we almost got used to it. But I don't think that's the case. I think a lot of people just want justice. And when you are stolen from, when the country is stolen from, personal belongings or businesses, it's about what your reaction is, not you know, and for the most part, I hope that it's not, you know, just in weakness and everybody's afraid to do anything. And that is why, as we end the show, Renault's response to theft in his business, I think it's a teachable moment for me, to not cower and, you know, to make sure, you know, to almost make thieves afraid. Because when you put them at ease and let them feel like, you know, everything's okay, don't worry about anything, don't worry about it, we're not going to let you cry. It needs to happen for all of what you've done. So live in fear of what you've done to a country. Live in fear knowing that you've wasted millions of dollars giving it to friends and family, and the same hospitals that we're looking at, the same children that need the laptops, the same people that are dying because of improper health care. All of that, these monies could have been diverted, could have been gone to the things that it needed to go to. So yes, be afraid and know. That's what I want to hear. Know that we're coming for you. Be afraid. And if you're afraid, that's what I want to hear. I think Reynolds said it well, and I think as I go on, it's just one of those teachable moments where that's what I would want for myself. If anybody has wronged me or my country, I'll take Reynolds' stance on things.
The incident occurred shortly after 4 p.m. Thursday, October 14. Business robberies may be a growing concern for many owners, but not for the managing director of Renault Construction.
I am not concerned about this situation.
Of Renault Construction.
I am not concerned about this situation. I think the people who did that will have realized they made a big mistake by entering my premises. So I am not concerned about it. I think they and their families should be concerned about what they did.
I can't stay.